No, thank you.
There's always so many things going on. Well, good evening, y'all. I appreciate the invite here. My name is Joy. My last name is just as it's spelled. Talking about school, Casnovsky, if you want to spell it out. I remember my spelling days of learning how to spell it. Anyways, my name is Joy Casnovsky. I am running for Ward 1 here in Elgin for City Council. And a little bit about me, why I'm running. Service is a big part of my history. It's a big part of what, why I wake up every day. I was a Park Service ranger in several national parks. I was also in the Peace Corps. I believe strongly in service. I think this is not something you can do on, city council, but I think if everybody could serve in some way for their community, for their country, that's something that I would definitely be in support. So anyways, it's in my blood. I'm currently on the ACC Ag Advisory Committee with you guys are probably all aware about the ACC campus we have here, and a big component that was pushed when that was built was to bring animal science and agriculture to that program. I sit on that board. I've been on several boards in terms of planning and zoning when I lived in Austin previously. And so that's, a little bit about me in terms of kind of my platform and what interests me. First and foremost, we've been talking about it tonight, growth. We know the growth is coming, right? I do not want to be an ostrich and put my head in the sand and think, well, if we just vote things down or we ignore it, the growth won't get us. No, the growth is coming. And the saying that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, right? So I think in terms of looking down 5 years, 10 years, a term is 2 years, but the decisions that we make are going to be felt long time after we're out of office. And that's the commitment that I have to constituents. So how do we balance the growth? Man, if I could answer that question and give you everything, I would probably make a lot of money if I could figure that out, right? I don't know if there's any one silver bullet, but what I do know is there are things that make Elgin really special and that we want to be known for, and that when this growth comes, we also don't want to lose so much of our identity. And those are the things that I want to be able to balance at the same time, looking at what are these potentials for growth. We were talking a little bit earlier about development, and Texas has some of the most stringent property rights. So if a farmer, on 290 or 1100 puts their acreage up for sale and it's going to become homes, I'm not saying that they can't do that. At the same time, that is their prerogative, and so I think it's in the city's best interest that if that's going to come, again, how can we get ahead of it and be thinking a little bit ahead to plan to not be as reactionary, which is what I heard earlier on. Growth. Second, leadership. I'm a twice graduate of the University of Texas. I have a master's in leadership. Leadership is important. We don't all need to agree. We don't all need to see eye to eye, but I think respect and understanding decorum and understanding how to be a leader, and also representing our city when we go to Campo meetings, when we go to other regional events, that's important. And I want to know that if I am sitting up on council and I'm representing someone, that I'm representing you, and I want you to be proud of me. Again, we don't all have to agree, but I want to have respect, and I want to respect you as well. And then third, I want to be accessible to folks. So one of the great things I love about Elgin is that we live in a small community where we can still pick up the phone or send a text, send an email, and you can get a real live person. That doesn't exist in a lot of places anymore, right? So if neighbors have issues, or another council member or even a school board member says, hey, this thing is happening in BTW, which is in Ward 1. Can we talk about this? Yes, let's absolutely do that. Let's have a dialogue, let's have a conversation. So that's a little bit about me, and I'll happy to entertain or answer any questions y'all may have.
Well, you gotta talk about traffic.
Yeah. You know, I mean, that was one of those things, right? Where it came up earlier that Manor said, no, we don't want that toll road. And I think what we've got, going past Manor, so it all dumps and bottlenecks up into Manor. Again, I wish I would be really rich if I could wave my magic wand and say, ta-da, all of a sudden we have, a expressway here, all the traffic is gone. But that's gonna take leadership from City Council, working with TxDOT, also considering business owners, right? Because if you've looked at Manor, something that I've noticed is that those businesses, they've all right up to the expressway. Well, what's gonna happen if you need to put in an expressway? You're gonna have to do your 183 upper deck kind of thing, and that is ugly as heck. I don't really want that happening with Elgin, but I've got to figure out, one of the things I would ask is, what is the setback for 290? Are we gonna have an overpass kind of ugly under the overpass Elgin, right? So anyways, I think traffic is a huge issue. I also think we need to be looking at other types of transportation besides getting in the car. I think we can drive, and that's great. And if we can get 5 people off the road because they're using a different transportation, or maybe they're not even commuting at all because they're working from home, that makes it better for folks who are going to drive. In my opinion, I don't know again that there's one size fits all. I think there's a lot of considerations, but traffic is absolutely an issue.
I have a question.
Sure.
So a big thing that we have is, especially people that have been around here for a while, and we tend to say, when I was in school, when I was a kid, when I grew up here, there's so many things that people love about this town. But we're not going to be able to, it's changing. What's one thing that you have that I don't know how long you've lived in Elgin, but that you want to see really preserved as we evolve, but we keep some of our small town values and charms? What's one thing that you would prioritize?
Well, one thing is I love to go to local places, whether it's Myers or downtown, and I see the same, no, I shouldn't say the same people, but you feel like there's a community, right? And so when you frequent your local businesses, when you go to pick up your kids at school, you have that community. I think in terms of our festivals that we have here, whether it's Western Days, whether it's Hog-Eye, I want to continue to support those. I also, I think there's been a lot of conversation about Elgin kind of being a bedroom community, right? Where people, they live here, but they commute into Austin or elsewhere. I would like us to, we know Austin and maybe Bastrop and even up by Taylor with the Samsung plant, that's going to draw more workers. But I'd also love for us to keep our downtown and also have some businesses that we're really proud of and that are drawing other people too. We have tourists coming here on the weekends and they want to spend their money. I don't think most people, whether they're in Austin or Bastrop, wake up in the morning and say, should we drive to Pflugerville to go spend our money at that drive-through? No, they want to go shopping for antiques. They want to go to a brewery. They want to go to a really cool park. They want to go to the splash pad, whatever. They want to go to barbecue. And so I think those sorts of things, again, the growth is going to come, but I think we also have an opportunity to shape that so we can retain, our character and what we really like about our community.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Would you be for bringing in a big company like a Samsung or something like that?
That is a great question, and I want to look at the pros and the cons, because I see, I think a lot of people in Taylor right now are thinking, holy crap.
Yeah, that's what I would be thinking.
Our town is going to change like crazy, right? And then there's other folks who are saying, but look at the tax base and look at what this brings, right? And so what I don't want to do is I don't want to sit up here and promise and say, absolutely, I'll support her. Absolutely, I'm not. I think it's kind of a nuanced situation, and I think I can understand kind of both sides of the coin and what's going to make sense for our community. To be frank, I I would be real curious, you know, if I were in the place in Taylor, if I lived in Taylor, what I'd think, because I think I'd have a lot of mixed feelings about that, you know?
We moved from Round Rock to get away from that, you know, and it seems like it's just this way.
I know, and that's what's so, you know, I feel like we're all in this thing in Central Texas where it's kind of like we all see the stuff coming and we're trying to figure out how do we, you know, the property taxes and you know, our school system and everything, and it is. And that's, I guess, why I go back to leadership. I think if we can have good conversations, we can have decorum, we can understand, look at the facts, we can listen, we can hopefully make good decisions.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I didn't keep up with it too much. Do you know if the community was actually involved in making a decision with the city council on that? Would that be something?
For Samsung? What I understand, and maybe some of y'all know a little bit more than me, I mean, I feel like the city and the school district were very instrumental in, I think, luring, because I think there was also some tax incentives for Samsung to relocate.
Yeah, I think I went so far.
Yeah. But I think that's a great question.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people want to keep Elgin. You know, and I would just be curious if we would be involved.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's gonna I would assume there would be opportunity for public kind of engagement and looking even at scenarios,
right.
You know?
Because I'm not saying I'm for or against, I'm just,
It's a big decision. Yeah.
Yeah, along those lines, because when Taylor did their deal with Samsung, they did the entire farm, Taylor, the entire city. But we're kind of doing the same thing in Elgin with the developments right now. So there's a Larson tract that they're about to discuss at the next city council meeting. And the trade-off is they're going to get a road that connects 95 to possibly all the way to County Line Road. But they're giving it away with tiny lot sizes and no drainage retention, no parks. You know, we've got, once again, the grassy marshland that they're just going to leave that as a green space. How do you fight that?
I mean, I think what I want to know, as I understand that any development that we are signing any sort of agreement with, that there are fees. Either you have a green space or it's a fee in lieu, right? So you put a green space in or you put a fee in lieu. I think something else that I would like to see, and now again, a lot of this is already laid, but if there is an opportunity to connect these neighborhoods also through walking trails, that's something that I really wish, as a mother of a young child, I wish we had more walking places for me and my dog, and thinking about all these neighborhoods. It doesn't necessarily have to be cars, but can you connect this so that kids can be riding their bikes, can they be walking, can they be skating, those sort of things. And again, they may be different developers, they may be different property owners, but is there some foresight to be able to connect them better? So I would, you know, something else that's affected me is, if anybody's familiar with the apartments on Maple, the apartments went in and, you know, it was to code and all of that, but the amount of runoff we have now across our property. And so one thing that I would ask is, can we look at our building codes to, because with the wacky weather we have now, do we need to change and have builders do something else? Now what that's going to do, I'm not going to lie, that's going to increase the cost of the builders, right? And then the cost of the homes goes up. At the same time, we've got a lot of flooding, and you know, maybe flooding is too much, but a lot of water sitting, you know, after several inches, and definitely on our property, we've experienced that, and I can definitely pinpoint it to when those apartments went in.
And it's because they do drainage studies just to see if those apartments are going to flood. They don't look at the studies of what's happening downflow.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we could make the audience question so that we can have a dialogue instead of a monologue.
It's like Jeopardy.
That would be better. I think, Dwayne, you had your hand up a second
yeah.
ago. And I apologize, it just
No,
keeps us a little more concise. Thank you.
When you're considering, if you did consider any larger institutions coming in, whatever, what would you demand would have to be part of the infrastructure to accommodate that?
I think I want to look at, again, the population coming in and have, again, data or studies showing this is going to put extra strain on XYZ service or XYZ road, right? And understand that if this development comes, are we going to be prepared then to address those additional demands?
And if it didn't, and if it was going to overload it, then, I mean, would you accept that Maynard, for instance, when you drive through Maynard, how difficult it is and timely it is to get through there? I mean, if that kind of thing was to be created here, would you allow that development to come in anyway?
I think it's going to depend on what it is, right? Because again, if I can't say, hey, property owner, your grandfather was a cotton farmer and now you don't want to farm, but you want to sell the land to a development, y'all can't do that. I don't have the right to do that, right?
No, but you have the right to, determine what the land use is going to be restricted to, okay, as far as what the infrastructure will, sustain. You have those kind of capabilities of making those kind of decisions.
Right, so the planning and zoning would be able to say, well, this is going to go from agricultural use to commercial use or multifamily or something like that.
Yeah, if we could keep the questions to one, or we'll be here all night. I don't mind. I got plenty of
But you know
time.
what I'm asking, right?
Yes.
So,
I think what I can't say is I'm going to say absolutely yes to every development or absolutely no to every development. I don't think that's good governance. I think you got to look at everything with the facts on the table, and everything is going to have nuance.
And last question, probably good one.
Do you think you could get Chili's to come?
Okay.
No, Papa knows.
To be honest, what I would really like, and I think would draw folks to have back to kind of what makes Elgin, is have something a little bit more homegrown. There's a lot of chefs in Austin who are like, man, they may have a food trailer or something like that. That's a lot. I would love to figure out how can we have more. I think businesses, especially food businesses here.
We better move the next one.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Anyways, it was lovely chatting with y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you.